So, for those who have not read, let's just get straight into
Yeah,
it. For those who have not read Nigerians, the
organizing
self-organizing
people.
people,
Mm.
just like to do a quick summary of what the book is about. Nigerians, the self-organizing people.
Okay, so Nigerian self-organizing people was born out of the fact that we just wanted to tell beautiful stories about what great people were doing in Nigeria. So me, Andrew Nevin, Umar Nevin, Sheyak Badano, and Cameron, we just all came together and we said, okay, let's write this book. And what we wanted to celebrate excellence across board because we discovered that what is really holding Nigeria together is the ingenuity of the people. It's not about the leadership. It's not about the leadership fails many times. But look at stories like that of 1 million teachers, which I've told every single time. You know, because I was part of the beginning of 1 million teachers, where in a hotel, we were ideating for spelling bee competition. And when that didn't to pass, we now started 1 million teachers and it's become successful. We wrote this book just to be able to tell amazing tale about great things happening in Nigeria. Me, Andrew, Omar, Sheyi, and Peter, you know, we came together because we wanted to tell amazing. And like I was saying, 1 million teachers. Akim Suba, we're just ideating that night in a hotel room. Prior to then, I had done some work with Akin Suba in Osho State, and we had done some very good work, you know, on the Osho Youth Empowerment Scheme, Okmoimo, and all of that. So, and you know, we had done some work. I had done some media aspect of our work. Phillips Consulting had done most of the consulting work, and we just felt, why can't we take this thing to the next level? And Akin used to have a spelling bee competition that was running. It was very big in Osho. And he had a very interesting story. I taught in a school. He had a school called Tiny Tots, you know, and he set up that school because he didn't see a school that could give the quality standard of education that his children needed. So it was that same ideation that pushed him. And that night we were ideating on bringing back the spelling bee. Then a couple of months after I come, we could have stumbled on this thing called 1 million teachers. Today, 1 million teachers is so big. Akin has got a piece of land where he's going to build one of the first teachers' village in Nigeria. So it's not just got partnership with governments of nations. We're going to have infrastructure on ground, teachers village, wild ecosystem. Lots of teachers are on the 1 million teachers platform. Emir Sanusi has gotten on board with us, and I can see the impact on the lives of people. I have also gotten on board such to the extent that a couple of teachers in my village benefited from it in Odogbolu. So you can see with just that thing we ideated in a hotel room, it has now become 1 million global teachers now. And those are the stories we wanted to tell. I mean, look at the story of Afe Babalola, the university, the health system there, you know, how much he had done, you know, for humanity and all of that. That's another good story worth telling. Look at the independent power plant set up, you know, within camp and all of that. I mean, these are many other stories that we just try to tell there. We want to tell people that yes, we believe in possibility and these things are possible. And it's just how deep we can look at these things and create results where everything looks bleak.
That is some of the failing states.
No, it's a symptom.
I know you tried to break that
Yeah,
down.
no, it's a system of a failing state. Let's not deceive ourselves. But people also should self-organize. I mean, the ingenuity of America is a lot of self-organization. So on the other side, I don't just want to say it's totally a system of a failing state. The ingenuity of, I mean, look at when the likes of Cornelia Vanderbilt built the rail lines in America. Government just gives them right of way and all of that. When the likes of JP Morgan owned banks that saved America, when America was in debt, it was because government supported their sense of ingenuity. So I believe government should support their own sense of ingenuity, but at the same time, people should be allowed to be able to self-organize. But government should not just leave them like that and just let them be, because that's where lies the problem. I think it should be a collaborative effort. People are innovating and doing great stuff, and they're self-organizing, and government should be able to meet them halfway. The root cause of this bad leadership, number one, is culture. Like I always say, culture will eat strategy for breakfast. We've built a very bad culture. A king in Yoruba land is called Kabiyesi. It's a mentality. You cannot ask him what he had done. So we juxtapose that mentality into accountable leadership, which can never work. The politicians become high-handed, so they use violence. Because of the poverty, inherent poverty caused by depreciation of opportunities, These people think that they can give you money and get their way. So when you have that, definitely you have a society that has a lot of malaise. And that's why you see Nigeria is going through what it's going through today. Today, Rufai was talking about that, the fact that party delegates are stark illiterate. But what about the politicians that are giving them the money? Don't talk about that. So we have a collective system where even if you get to a political position, people around you will say that you're stupid for not stealing. So we need to start changing that and going back to the ethos. I don't want to say of Omoluabi because people have also bastardized that ethos today. I mean, we live in a country where we have politicians that the school they finish from, they can't tell us. The school they claim they finished from was not even founded when they graduated. Politicians that said they did well in school, but when they say, okay, let's research their result, they will say to put them in irreparable damage. And they have people that are supporting them. Just imagine that. So we have that cultural problem. It's pure and simple. So except we are ready to solve that cultural problem, which is going to take a while, then we are not going to move forward.
How long do you think this will take before we can start seeing change?
I mean, we're functioning on habit. If Nigeria gets very good leadership, which is also going to be very difficult because of leadership, if you have sustained 5 to 10 years, you can change things. Because see, don't let's deceive ourselves. Nigerians are very highly impressionable people. Remember when Buhari just came in? People were already scared. I just want to fight corruption. Once they saw that he was not ready to fight corruption, they moved on. So coming back to striking a balance, how do you strike a balance? It's regulatory sandbox, and we've done this in many sectors. You know, when we have a sandbox where government and businesses and self-organizing businesses collide. Take for instance the fintech sector. It has grown out of that level of regulatory sandbox. I remember when we co-founded Loyal Bonus. My partners, Uncle Rexy, Yomela, and a couple of other people online. As at that time, CBN was just going to say blanketly, oh, if you don't have this amount, you can't come into fintech. But things have gotten a lot better. There have been iterations due to regulatory sandbox and things like that. People that are doing fintech now have to get microfinance bank licenses and all of that. Back in the days, around 2016, because we also wanted to have a fintech component to Loyal Bonus, it was not as easy as it is today. So constant collaboration, regulatory sandbox, and government also doing things in aid of businesses. And you see they're partnering across, but the growth and development of the real estate in Lagos has been that regulatory sandbox. It is the developer that builds everything out, that open most of the areas. Maybe government can just okay, do the big first stamp filling of that area and all of that. I'll give you an instance, that collaboration. Government fixed this Lekki Epe Expressway. It opened up to be one of the largest and fastest growing corridor in the world with millions and millions of people. If you had come here about 40, 50 years ago, you couldn't even get to where we are because Morocco was on pikes. Morocco was on pikes. Most of the area you call Victoria Island, you know, today. In fact, at some point, if you go and check all those legally area, they're called Victoria Island Extension. Victoria Island ended around the Mount Bello area at that time. So all this area Morocco was on pikes. I know somebody that built his house in that VI off the Ghanaian holiday in 92, 93. When he got that land in the 80s, it was on pikes. You have to, it was proper shanty. But some feeling came, development came, opened up the area. So you can also see most of this collaboration. Government should be in aid of free enterprise, not stifling free enterprise. That's why I see a lot of people kicked against this tax bill. Yeah. But you should also be careful when you wrap up taxes for businesses that are not making anything. It kills the momentum in the end.
Helping to make the business of doing business in Nigeria easy for
with due respect, they're not ready. They've not even grappled with the understanding of it. Yeah, they've tried to do something, but I don't see that readiness.
You said they've tried to do something,
but I don't.
You don't see that readiness.
And I'll tell you why. The things they have done has just been on the surface. If you really want to show you are ready, you go deep. Cost of doing business is in malaise as we speak today. You have devalued the economy. Business can't compete. Look at in the media sector. To get a radio station to get 5, 10 million naira a month to pay your bills is hell on earth. People that are running media is just a labor of love. It's a difficult place to be. Look at since the time the telecoms company have been looking for tariff increases, they just granted now. It's just even 50%. How well will that 50% go when you have had inflation that has also, because we forget inflation is a tax on the poor and businesses. Inflation has also degraded the standard of living. The likes of your MTN, I hope you know they have commercial paper dollar loans. Just imagine they are earning in naira, they are paying dollar loans. So we've not seen any. The state of play of the economy, bring down inflation. February will make it 1 year they've been raising rates. You know what it means when you raise rates? To go to the bank to get a loan now, it's 30% for you. Interest rate is about 26%, but bank will add all their own charges to it. I know a pharmaceutical company that's pretty much shut down, and these were one of our partners in some of our outreaches. They provide malaria drugs. They can hardly provide malaria drugs these days. So government has to do something first about the interest rate. That's why I said they show signs, but they are not ready. Something has to do about the interest rate. We have seen that the interest rates rises has not brought down the problem of inflation.
Showing that.
Oh yes, you have to, because the terrain is unbelievably tough.
How far do you think they can go?
How far do you think they can go? I don't think they can go too far. And it's beginning to show. Look at most of the company making huge losses after the devaluation happened. Look at the huge cuts. MTN used to be a lot of profit and gain. Go and check the Nigerian Stock Exchange. How many company has a market cap of over 10, 15, 20 trillion? Check. How many companies? And now divide that 20 trillion market cap, or if there's anyone that has over 10, 15 trillion market cap, by the current dollar rates. That's what devaluation is. If somebody brings a lot of dollar, he can buy most of the companies in Nigeria and just. So these are challenges. What can the government do? Listen to the businesses. The government announced, that's why I say, you see, they are ready and they are not ready at Zimbabwe. The government announced a couple of loans for manufacturing business when they first devalued last year. Have all those conditions been fulfilled? CNG now, nobody talks about the CNG again. Adoption is not great. I have a CNG car. How many places can you get CNG to buy? Where's the presidential initiative on CNG? How long have we gone? Yeah, they've given a couple of thousands of cars and conversion kits. Is that pervasive? Can you say that's a viable alternative energy? And just are still buying fuel at close to 1,000 naira. You know how much is the cost to cut your hair now? Somebody want to put up a better person and never generator. That's why I'm saying that these things are not far-reaching enough. They are not far-reaching enough. So they've done some things, yes, but it's not pervasive. So it doesn't look like they are ready.
Let's look at the wider pictures, especially health. I know that a section of the book talked about not seeing the level of self-organization in other areas from healthcare. I'd like you to perhaps recall what makes that a bit difficult.
You know, yes, we have not seen that level, but since we wrote the book, the book was about 22 years ago. Since we wrote the book, we've seen some good sparks. Since we wrote the book, Evercare popped up, Coptic popped up, which I had a need to use their services, which was good. But it has not trickled down. So the question is, if you're sick, how many average salary earner that has about 200,000 can use these high-end hospitals? Probably maybe if you're on an insurance plan. So when you look at it, We need to have more boutique ones that cater to the very low rung. It's still pretty much a general hospital, and it's quite very difficult when you have all the consultants. So you have some pockets of successes, but it's not pervasive enough. Because most of those deals were not thought through. When they liberalized the sector, there was a lot of cronyism that happened. So across the value chain, we're not thought through. I'm sure you see that most of those discos are not even being run by the banks that they collected loans from. So the question is, did they have enough capital injection? Or it was because they had known some people that were close by? Secondly, there's also a conversation about the transmission elements. That's why we go back to the Siemens deal. Till today, where are we on the Siemens deal? After Abba Kyari had passed, God only knows what happened. We didn't see a lot of traction, as it were. You all remember during the election when Peter Obi talked about the fact that Egypt had a better turnaround time than us. So even if you have all the companies shooting out power on the grid, the question is, where's the transmission lines, which is still being controlled by the government in the interest of national security? That's another conversation. If you ask the minister, you say we need more money to be able to do that. You've heard about the grid collapses because of the SCADA system and inefficiencies of the grid. How much money are we ready to put in that to be able to achieve some level of success? That's another conversation. This about 40 billion, I'm not sure it's going to be totally about grid power. Because if you say 40 billion, if it's all over Africa, it can't do anything on the grid power. It's going to be like the alternative grid system and projects under, rural electrification that we've always done, that we've used, smaller grid system like solar and the likes. But the question is, how viable is it? Probably those things there will provide lighting and charge phone, improve community outcomes, but how viable is it in the long run? But my ground says, even with this mega resource that will be coming in, how well can we spend it? Africa has over 30 million square kilometers of land, over 1 billion people, rich in land mass. But when you look at the outcomes as regards power production and all of that, then you start to see that it falls apart. Projects like this are good for the communities, but we still need to make a lot of investment on the grid power. Because if you want to challenge the world, you need to have grid power. If you want your GDP to move, you have to have grid power. It has to be accessible, it has to be cheap. Nigeria has a lot of those alternatives. We've got coal, we've got gas and everything, but to be able to harmonize has always been the problem. So that's the investment. This is good, but we must not have a total reliance on this level of project. We must also see how we can introspect and how we can develop our grid system, which has not been properly funded because of underinvestment and everything and all of that. Some people had argued because of the tariff system, okay, you don't have cost reflected tariff and all of that. We've got some leeway on that now. But how can we create the systems and make it a whole lot better? I think that's the cardinal conversation. Investment. You need to put money in. You need to put money in. You need to put a colossal amount of money and ensure that it's not corruptly stolen. And there needs to be accountability. If the Siemens deal had gone, by this year, this projection, we should have been hitting close to availability and allowance for about 20,000 on the grid. But where are we today? Nowhere as regards that. Because you see, whatever we don't even put on the grid, we pay for it in generators. Power is still being generated one way or another, but it's being generated through generators, and it's more costly rather than pushing it on the grid. So definitely it's a big danger. And I talk about accountability because I know what I'm saying. I mean, remember the last power minister. You saw how it went. The allegations of corruption. But to date, you wonder why can't we accelerate things? The EFCC very selective in their approach. It's now obvious. That was always the fear that it's going to be used as a tool against political opponents. It's now obvious. Today, the fight is now against, advanced fee fraud boys, which is good, but also the people that have power. Also, most importantly, I think the part you should have added is the judiciary. It takes very winding, long sessions in court cases. You don't get anything in the end. And justice delayed is justice denied. There's a big backlog in the judiciary and a couple of other things like that. The judges are stretched out and all of that. So it's like a cultural conspiring of some sort to ensure that accountability is not done. And that's why we can't move on as a nation. No, there's no chance for redemption. That's why we keep rigmaroling. That's why I say it's a cultural conspiratorial scene. There's no chance for redemption.
We're in a mess that we are not sure.
It's not a redeemable mess. Look at Wuxi, where we've been hovering about this mess over 40 years, even more, even since the days of independence. It's not during independence when people say Nigeria was good back in the days. You had the case of lawmakers that were stealing lots of money and finance minister that grew so rich that today his family is still fighting about his wealth.
So when we talk about the solutions, we're merely paying lip service.
We'll talk about the solutions, but if the people are ready to listen. So there's a big conditionality. But you see, the corrupt class is enjoying all of this mess going on. So they're not ready to listen. They feed off the corruption in the system. They feed off the budget cycle not working the way it ought to work. They pad budgets. So we can talk about the data that came up. If we don't have behavioral change and accountability change, we're not going to go anywhere. But everybody, I mean, what are you even saying? Look at the EFCC itself. The boss of the EFCC says, I know my people are corrupt. And it's that same people he sends out every. Did you hear the story of an EFCC person that was put in a place to go and count money or something, exhibit money? That stole $30,000. Have they found him? Have they found him till date? So there's a level of madness and malaise everywhere.
The people, the followers themselves.
Those ones don't know any better because they've been dividing along the lines of tribalism, lack of education, not very clear, direct thinking. So it's just a very warped case. Except we start to have that behavioral change and all that accountability. This nation is great. But my fear is it might never reach its potential unless we rise up. And with this crop of politicians, it will never reach its potential.
Crop of followers too.
And this crop of followers, except there's a new orientation, a new mindset without greed.
You don't put the blame on the entirety of followers.
I put it on the ecosystem. Like I said culture. Culture pervades every class. Culture will eat strategy for breakfast. Culture that affects the leadership. Culture that affects the family. Go and talk to a 6-year-old. I want to be a politician because of what is in it for me. So once people have the mindset that they're not going there to serve, they're going there to steal, then you can never have accountability. You can never have success.
This state is on the right path.
When you look at it on a cultural look, you see, Lagos enjoys some adjacency in terms of innovation because all the big multinationals are here, so you can see some level of collaboration. You would expect more in a couple of states of the southeast, southwest, but it's not that pervasive. Lagos is just because of the adjacency. I mean, any state that is put in the position of Lagos will do well.
And I think there are other states that have not enjoyed similar.
They could do more. I'll give you an instance. Akwa Ibom could do a whole lot more. Akwa Ibom too has that adjacency. They've got big oil industry in Eket. Mobil is there. But it's not at the rate at which you'll have wanted it to grow. But Lagos definitely will have something I call the unfair advantage. There's no how. There's no how. On the federal front, yes, we've tried to do that self-organizing collaboration at some point. You remember when government was giving tax breaks to companies for them to do infrastructure. That's the mentality of some sort, at least, so that you know that they do the infrastructure and all of that. You can see more of that, but it's not as rapid as we want it to be. It's not as rapid as we want it to be. That's just been the problem. Lagos, yes, will enjoy adjacency. A couple of states in the southwest, not us. Maybe today we are going to see some of the hint of those collaboration in the southeast. Landmark and Enugu state government on Nike Lake Hotel. It's been a government structure for years. At some point, Proti came to run it. I stayed in that hotel at some point. I know how decrepit, I know the potential has got. Let's see what Landmark will do with it. But we can do more. We can do more.
Any other thing you think is important for people to do?
I think it's high time we really do something about behavioral change and stop this conversation of we have potential. We can't have this. We can't keep saying we're having potential. We're having potential. We ought to accelerate. We've seen what countries like China have done in 20 years. And everybody say 20 years or 24 years because it was in 2001 China joined WTO. After Mao passed, the revolution pretty much started in the 80s, but I will peg it from 2001. When are we going to hit that potential? When are we going to have that level of leadership that will say, okay, let's think forward. Let's grow the size of the economy. 8 years ago, the projection after they rebased the economy of Nigeria, the projection was if we had consistently done that 6% growth, by now we should be inching towards doubling the size of our GDP, which should easily be $1 trillion economy today. But we've gone back to 199 billion. So maybe now when they rebase the economy and the numbers come out end of January into February, maybe we can inch close to where we used to be before. As of 2014. It's time for us to get the work done. And that's why we need leaders. This present crop of political class I don't see, except if you have an outlier. We need leaders that can come and revolutionize the thinking. Real leaders. And that's why 2027 elections will matter the most. But I don't see 2027 elections changing anything. Why? Because most of the things that would herald the selection process, like INEC fixing its processes, like making beavers making IRF justiciable and other things, we are not seeing it. So I don't think anything magic will happen.
At this point, that projection is exciting.
I can't lie to you.
That's a great picture.
It's a great, you see. I can't lie to you, and from studying things, I can't lie to you. It's just been that cyclical of green picture. You have some that will push, then all the growth prospect that I've achieved will be destroyed by some funny dude.
Personally, you're frustrated.
Are you talking to me? Are you not frustrated? Everybody's frustrated because you see so much potential. See, if we're growing at that 6%, by now we should be close. Because see, it said that if you grow, I think I don't know how the analogy. If you grow 8%, in 10 years you double your GDP. If you grow 6%, in 13 years you double your GDP. And now we should be close to topping over $1 trillion economy. But look at us today. After devaluation, GDP is 199 billion. From the biggest economy in Africa to number 4, number 5. And you don't expect me to be frustrated. And it's just clueless leadership. When you look at the rigmarole Buhari took us through. Took a country that was growing and everything, destroyed it. At first, for the first 6 months, there was idleness. No, he didn't give us any minister. You know, just imagine yourself that. So when the inflation came, when the what's it called, the recession, you must do it yourself recession. A leader that said, "Oh, I want this. Oh, I want this. I must."
You don't think that Buhari himself was perhaps frustrated?
That's why I didn't give you ministers for the. I mean, see,
Well, you know,
you,
recently he said
you,
he feels much better now.
no, no.
He's out of
So,
that.
but why did he come out to run? Why did he come out to run? That's why all the things he's been saying recently, it's just been laughable. If you feel Nigerians are difficult to answer, why did you come out to run? You would have just left the country alone. It was not by force. Because you came out, no worthy leadership. For the first 6 months, you were sworn in May 23, 2015. For the first 6 months, you couldn't even bring in ministers. You didn't show any attempt of working. 2016 inflation, the economy went south, recession caught up with us. They decided to blame oil prices, so oil prices. Things are getting so bad that even when the Russo-Ukrainian war started, the oil prices went up. We topped over $100 per barrel. What did we do with the money? Everybody was fitting fat. At first, his spokesperson said they were clearing the Orgian stable. Till date, from their administration now, they are now clearing their own Orgian stable, humanitarian ministry and all of that. This addition of they were clearing the Orgian stable, they are still clearing their own Orgian stable.
I'm not going to stand in defense of the former president, but you know, there are those who would also argue that what do you need ministers for? Just keep the permanent secretaries, directors, the marching orders. They're the ones who
Anyway, just like how Tinubu has not given us ambassadors in over 18 months, but you know, in international affairs, there are some things that Charge d'Affaires cannot do. And it's showing. In terms of Nigeria international, there are some things Charge d'Affaires, there are some things of government of the nation will not have a conversation with anybody except for the ambassadorial level. Is it not showing? So if you say, what do you mean is a great permanent sec? Didn't it show? Was there a sense of direction? They finally got ministers. Was there a sense of direction? See, in a race, once you have a false start, there's over 10% chance that you might not come first in that race.
you don't tell young people to.
No, they have to sit back and make their country work.
Yeah, but if they're equally frustrated,
Turn their frustration to action. You don't flee. The country you are going to is not people that built it. The America you are fleeing to is Trump not sending people back, illegal migrants. You don't flee. You turn your frustration to action. You don't agonize. You organize. So how will you make your voice heard leading up to the next election? What will you do? It is for you telling 10 people that, hey, you must not collect bribe from that politician. That's just it. Look at the mass movement that happened in the last election. It was the young people, at least. Peter Obi could get over 6 million. Third candidate could get over 6 million. It was the young people. So you don't have to be frustrated and say you want to flee. Because that's always the option. It's a jaded mindset. Venom Mario Guy sang a song in the 80s. 84, 85. That was released on that Tabansi Records. Andrew no check out to Enebeli Eleboa. Acted as Andrew that time. Say what? Nigeria go survive. All the Andrews that checked out then in the 80s, now they are coming back full circle. They are already retiring. Old age is already coming. They've lived in America for over 30 going to 40 years. Some of them might have made money, but now they're beginning to say that it's too cold here. So I want to come to Nigeria more often. Some of them are coming to set up hospitals here and there in Nigeria. Some of them are coming to set up business here and there. So the problem they fled to be able to get a leeway on, they have come back to see it in a worse dimension. Chinua Achebe will tell you will respond to you with the title of his last book that he wrote before he died. He will tell you there was a country.